It's Weather for Weather Geeks time, midweek edition, Wednesday evening, the 23rd day of February 2022, and today was a lot different than yesterday. Our little spring fling is now over, and we have a winter storm to talk about, although this one is going to be lower impact overall than some of the winter storms that we've dealt with over the last handful of weeks. First, a little old business before we get on to the new business of our upcoming storm. It's a lot colder than 24 hours ago, 32 degrees colder. This time last evening it was in the upper 50s. Now we're in the middle and upper 20s across the Mahoning and Shenango valleys. Also a little bit of old business here. We still have high swollen rivers and creeks and streams, and the Weather Service did hoist flood warnings last night and today for Eagle Creek and also the Mahoning River near the Levittsburg and Braceville areas. Barely into flood stage here, but high enough that they did go ahead and issue that warning. Flood stage at Levittsburg for the Mahoning River starts at 12.5 feet. We're at 12.65 as of 5:15, and this will recede tonight and heading into tomorrow. Now, the river might start to come up again with this mixed precipitation and even rain that's heading our way tomorrow night into early Friday, but it's probably not enough rain to cause major issues. We'll talk about the precipitation types with our winter storm coming up here momentarily. Here's the beginnings of our system. An old front is kind of stalled down here, and near that front, low pressure is eventually going to form, and already before that low even forms, we have precipitation breaking out in a variety of forms from the lower Ohio Valley down through the mid-Mississippi Valley. Winter storm warnings are out this evening for the Ozarks and heading up towards St. Louis, Paducah, Kentucky. Winter weather advisories extend upwards towards Chicago, South Bend, close to Toledo. Now, we have no winter weather advisories out here in our local area. I guess I would not be surprised if the Weather Service issued some winter weather advisories for far northern Ohio and parts of northwestern PA especially later on tonight, maybe into tomorrow morning. So maybe Mercer County gets clipped by this. I doubt our entire television viewing area gets put under a winter weather advisory. That's because there's been some warmer trends with our system, and that will have a big impact on precipitation type. And we look at temperatures not only down here at the ground, but upstairs a little bit, above our heads. One of the key levels above our heads, about 5,000 feet, and we're going to notice significant warming at that level during the second half of tomorrow and into tomorrow night. So by Friday night, or Thursday night, I should say, wee hours of Friday morning, 4:12 a.m., the temperature 5,000 feet above our heads is well above freezing. And so that's going to prevent snow from falling in a lot of places overnight. In the colder spots, this will be sleet and freezing rain for a while, and where the warm air is deep enough, not only above freezing aloft, but down here at the ground, it'll be plain rain for a time. We're going to see some of everything. This is a complicated forecast for tomorrow night into Friday morning, but then temperatures start to crash as we go into the daylight hours on Friday. During the daylight hours on Thursday, might see a passing flurry in the morning, no big deal. In fact, the sun may try to come out for a few hours midday into early afternoon before the clouds thicken back up. Here's when the precipitation arrives, probably within an hour or two of sunset Thursday evening. Now, when this arrives, I doubt we see plain rain right off the get-go in many spots. It's probably going to be freezing rain, temperatures around 31, 30, with rain falling in places like East Liverpool and Salineville and Elwood City. Farther north you go, more sleet and snow you'll find in Youngstown and all of Mahoning County. A lot of Trumbull and Mercer. Some snow, it'll be wet snow, gloppy snow, falling into air that's around freezing, so treated surfaces should be okay. Untreated surfaces might start to get a little bit slick early in the evening with this combo of snow and sleet, and in some places, some freezing rain as well. But as we head deeper into the evening and into the overnight, notice what happens here. I mean, just plain rain. Now, a miserable 34-degree rain. Not going to be nice to be outside at this time of the morning, Friday morning, but this will be important. This will have implications for the amount of snow and sleet we can expect, and also for people's ability to get around late Thursday night and into early Friday morning. The more plain rain we have, of course, the less slippery it's going to be. And so this plain rain line might get all the way to the north in our far northern viewing area if it is aggressive enough. And, I talked on Weather for Weather Geeks last evening, and I may have even mentioned it Monday evening. In these kinds of situations, I favor the models that are most aggressive with that warm air aloft. Sometimes you'll hear us talk about the NAM model, the North American model. That's a model, just like every other model, that has quite a few flaws. But seasoned meteorologists know what those flaws are, know what those biases are, and also know the strengths of certain models. The NAM has a strength when it comes to warm air aloft getting into a region in this kind of a setup, and typically it sniffs that out sooner than a lot of our other models. The NAM sniffs out that warm layer aloft before some of the other models. The NAM has a bias towards too much precipitation. It thinks it's going to rain and snow too much in a lot of cases, but its temperature profiles of the atmosphere oftentimes are pretty good. Anyway, enough model talk. By Friday morning, the mixed precipitation's gone by about daybreak. Still probably some light accumulating snow near the lake shore, maybe as far south as I-80. We get some small accumulations of snow Friday morning. I don't think it's much in our TV viewing area. Closer to Ashtabula and Erie and up towards Buffalo, yeah. Maybe we get some additional accumulations Friday morning. But for most of our TV viewing area, this is flurries for a while, and then maybe a few lingering flurries into Friday afternoon. The weather will calm down as we start the weekend on Saturday. Actually, it'll be a pretty bright day overall on Saturday. Now, with the prospect of so much mixed precipitation and even just plain rain, snowfall totals are going to be pretty modest in our area. Maybe a handful of inches, 3-4 inches, maybe 5. Closer to Lorain, Cleveland, Elyria, Ashtabula, over towards Erie. But again, down in our TV viewing area, I think the best we're going to do in most of our TV viewing areas, a couple of slushy inches, maybe up towards Southington, Mesopotamia, Gustavus, Greenville, places like that. Once you get down towards Youngstown, a little bit of slush with sleet, a little wet snow at first. But if you saw more than an inch, I'd be pretty surprised worth of snow and sleet, because you're going to find more and more raindrops as you get farther to the south. It's not going to take long for everything to change over to plain rain as you go off to the south. Now, with the prospect of more rain above the freezing mark, we've reduced our ice expectations in areas mostly south of 224. So, you're probably looking at not much in the way of ice accretion on tree limbs, power lines, treated roads, things like that. Once you get down towards East Palestine, Rogers, Nagley, Lisbon, Hanoverton, Salineville, Wellsville, East Liverpool, places like that. Now, surfaces, cold surfaces, could be slick for a little while. Maybe your deck, your patio, your driveway maybe. Bridges and overpasses will still have to be watched for a time. Keep in mind that even if the air temperature in a place, say East Liverpool, say the air temperature is 34 for several hours overnight, some of the surfaces, colder surfaces, bridges, maybe if they haven't been treated, and some of the, your deck railings and things like that, those surfaces could be around 30, 31 still, even though the air temperature is 34. So you could still get some ice accretion in that situation, but I don't think it's going to be anything all that major. Now, you might see 1/10 of an inch to maybe up to 1/4 of an inch of ice in some parts of this pink area, but again, with the more aggressive warming, you might get above freezing pretty fast, and that limits the ability for the atmosphere to produce really problematic ice. Just a reminder that when we talk about those ice accretion numbers, generally the bigger problems really start once you're up to 1/4 of an inch, but even 1/10 of an inch or so can make those colder surfaces a little bit slippery. But we're going to root for plain old rain, even though rain in 34 is pretty miserable. It's better than rain and 31. So winter storm impacts will be highest well to our east. So anyone traveling on the PA Turnpike or Interstate 80, eastbound, tomorrow night, very early Friday, you're going to encounter some problems in this real hilly terrain between Pittsburgh and Altoona, over towards Johnstown, up towards Clearfield. This is really hilly stuff out here. If you've ever been on I-80, a couple of hours east of us, there's a sign saying, hey, this is the highest spot on I-80 east of the Mississippi. It's up around 2,000 feet. The weather up there can be a lot different than in some of the lower areas. So that's where the highest impacts overall in our region will be. From freezing rain, it looks like, as we go into tomorrow night. Quick word about the longer range. Here's some model data off the European ensemble. You notice, this isn't a deep freeze we'll be in for a couple of weeks now, heading into March. It's not a warm pattern. We're not going to see, a rogue 70-degree day anytime real soon, it looks like. But after a pretty chilly weekend, as we roll into March next week, and especially that first weekend of March, this doesn't look bad. Upper 40s, maybe 50 or so. The nights, not tremendously cold. And actually, next week looks pretty quiet from a practical weather standpoint. Maybe we'll break our streak of one winter storm a week that it seems like we've been on that streak for at least a month now. Looks like we're going to try to break that streak next week. In the meantime, thanks for watching Weather for Weather Geeks tonight. Get the updated forecast anytime, of course, on the Storm Tracker 21 app. Have a great night.